Here we go. Yeah. Looks like we're ready to go. Hey everybody, this is Jay Skinner and we're at the beginning of the Buyers and Sellers Show. Well, why do we call it that? Because we're all buyers and sellers, aren't we? One time or another, we're doing both. We're going to have Dr. Tony Alessandra on the show with us today. We got a huge group of people getting on right now. I can't wait. So let's get everybody on. Hey everybody, this is the beginning of the Buyers and Sellers Show. I'm Jay Skinner, and everybody's getting on. We start at 10:35 Eastern Time every Friday morning. Yeah, and we're live. I'm Jay Skinner. You're on the Buyers and Sellers Show. So glad you made it this morning. And if you're on the replay, same here. I want you to participate, ask questions. We're going to have a blast today because that's just what we do. And this day, many of you are here because you know that Dr. Tony Alessandra is going to be with us. You also know that he's the father of the Platinum Rule. And he inspired me to do things like the Silver Rule. Do unto your vendors as you want your customers to do unto you. How about the Green Rule? Do for yourself what you're asking others to pay you to do for them. And who doesn't know the Platinum Rule? Do unto others how they want to be done unto by Dr. Tony Alessandra. Oh my gosh. Look at this. There's the book. Anyway, I'm so excited. I'm just going to have Tony come out right now as we talk about Tony and what he's done. Dr. Alessandra, welcome to the Buyers and Sellers Show.
Thank you, Jay. Glad to be here.
I'm mighty proud to have you here too. This is great. It's like as people are looking at this banner here, you were inducted into the National Speakers Association Speakers Hall of Fame in 1985.
Am I that old, Jay?
Well, the funny thing is, am I that old? Because you and I were friends even before that.
That's right.
Do you remember, like, it was about 1980. You published this book in 1979 about.
Right.
And I was back then, I was in the cemetery business. And somebody told me about this. I think it was the head of the cemetery that was trying to teach us all how to be good sales guys and things. I got a hold of this and it changed my life forever in terms of my sales, my ability to establish rapport with people in a quick fashion and get things done. My sales multiplied after that. And so what I do in Jay Skinner fashion, I got the rotary dial phone out and I started figuring out, how do I get a hold of this guy? And you picked up the phone and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. So let's see what we got. I already got some comments here. I'm going to see who all's coming on board. Well, there we go. It's like, see, Sharon, this is my niece, Sharon Hoffmeister, the SharonHoffmeister.com. And I'm so proud of her. She's gone live every single day for 1,378 times without missing a day for her business. And she's Sharon, if you will, come back with us with your website and the name of your company and what you do. I would be happy for everybody to know, because people ought to know you. And what you do is something for everyone. And so it's like, now I don't know who the LinkedIn user is, but somehow it's getting blocked. So type in who you are. But it says musical salesperson. I like it. Yep. Do re mi, how I played myself to the top. How about that? Wisdom has its day. That's right. And then what's a backstory for Jay Skinner? Well, you're going to get it one of these days. There's plenty of them. And let's look at what Tony, we talked about this. Oh my gosh, top 5 sales, marketing, customer service speakers. You won that 5 times. You were in the inaugural class, top sales, World Sales Hall of Fame in 2010. Look, top 50 sales and marketing influencers in 2012. You were the #1 world's top communication guru in 2012. What's it feel like when that kind of stuff happens, Tony?
It's interesting. It's just the culmination of a lot of hard work. So I'm a driven person.
You're a driven person.
Right.
Well, that is great. Now, let me ask you this. And it's like, I've driven, my wife says, behind every successful man, there's a pushy woman. Have you got one of those?
Well, no, I have a very supportive
There
woman.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. A highly supportive woman. And I got one of those too. And it's like Karen and I were talking, and I got to say, she just has been so helpful for me, especially the last 21 years. So that's been fantastic. And that's how long we've been married. And boy, did she ever has ever contributed to my success as well. But, I had this thing up here. Let's see. Prolific author, 36 books translated into over 50 foreign language editions. From your first book in 1979, Non-Manipulative Selling, which we showed, to your most recent book in 2021, What Makes Humans Tick. Right there, everyone. How about that? We're going to be talking, we're jamming a lot of stuff into this program. And I want to give kudos also for this book to your co-authors, Brandon Parker, and he's the CEO, and Jennifer Larsen, Vice President of Instructional Design and Certification for the Assessments 24/7 company that was founded by you and Brandon Parker in 2000.
Right. And I do want to give a major shout out to Jennifer Larsen, who did the bulk of the research and work on the book. I mean, it really was something that was near and dear to her. So
that's fantastic. And let's see, we got some more comments going here. And say, okay, so LinkedIn user, you says, a woman who lets you do. That is right. And I got one of those. Tony's got one of those. And it sure means a lot to us when we're out there trying to put things together. By the way, LinkedIn user, I'd sure like to know your name. And for some reason, it's not coming up because of some sort of security block. Write down who you are. That would be great. And there, John Lanza says, good morning and love learning. Great, John. Glad you're here. This is fantastic. So moving right along, Tony, let's just, if you would share with me about that book, about DISC, and I have to go up here and say, it's about DISC, Motivators, Emotional Intelligence. Time for you to talk. I'm looking forward for you to give us some idea of what this is all about.
Okay, so we have an assessment company, an online assessment company. The #1 product we have is DISC. DISC, for those of you who are not familiar with that, stands for Dominance, Influence, Steadiness, and Conscientiousness. And what we wanted to do in this book was to show people how they can learn more deeply about themselves, not just DISC, which really focuses on how you do what you do, but also motivators, which focuses on why you do what you do. Emotional intelligence is a significant thing about, how well you connect with people, how sensitive you are. And we actually get into one more, which is critical thinking and decision making, which is done through the Hartman Value Profile. So those are the 4 things we've done in this book, but primarily focused on DISC and motivators. If we focused on all 4 of the topics I just mentioned, which included emotional intelligence and critical thinking, it would have been a much bigger book. And I know a lot of people, when they see a book, this thick, whoa, I don't want to get into that. So we figured in this book, we'd focus primarily on DISC and motivators. And sometime in the future, we're going to focus on the other 2, primarily focus on the other 2. DISC is such an unbelievable concept. When people take our assessment and they get their report, they're just stunned. How did you know so much about me by just me answering 24 questions? We actually have 30 questions, but the last 6 are just an either or, and they're really a tiebreaker. But DISC has been our love. Back in the late 80s, I wrote a book called People Smart. I wrote the book with Dr. Michael O'Connor, who at the time was the vice president of research and development for, it was either Performax or Carlson Learning Company, which really was the original DISC company. So over the years, that's what I focused on. And in 2000, when I started this company with Brandon Parker, Brandon was only 22 years old at the time, Jay, and I hired him as a contractor to do the programming. But over the years, his contributions and his growth have been so significant. So here we are today. He is the CEO of the company, and he pretty much calls all the shots. He, certainly fills me in on certain things, and I do have an override, but rarely do I override because he is that good. So we have Brandon, who's the CEO. You know who Jen is, and Jared Moore is our COO, and he really is the one that runs a lot of the day-to-day things. So when we built this online assessment company, when you look at some of our competitors or other assessment companies, they were typically started by people who had a very different background than me. They were either in IT, or they were, engineering, statistics, psychology. My background is marketing and sales, as you know, with non-manipulative selling. So when I built this dashboard for people to use the assessments, I used the marketing concept, which is what I used to teach when I was a university prof. And the marketing concept is to really find out what people want and then give it to them. So we built this first platform, Brandon and I, and we went out, we got customers. We lucked out, Jay. Our first customer was Ken Blanchard, author of Manager. Huge get for us, huge, which gave us incredible credibility. But as soon as we did version 1.0, we went out to our customers and we said, what do you like? What don't you like? What did we miss? What would you like us to tweak? And we started doing that until we made so many edits to the site that we tore it down and built 2.0. Did the same thing, tore it down, built 3.0, 4.0. We're on 5.0 right now. And I think we get a lot of our business, particularly from our competitors, because our online dashboard, which is totally automated, e-commerce enabled, et cetera, is so heads and tails above what the competition has. And a lot of people come to us because our assessments are totally customized down to, you can have your domain name. So people could go to jskinnerassessments.com instead of assessments247.com. We customize the reports, not just on the cover page with your logo, et cetera, not just in the footers with all your contact information, but we allow people to change the content in the report. They can restructure it. They can pull things out. They can add static pages like worksheets or graphics if they want. So we totally customize this report. This is the DISC End Motivators, which, by the way, in the book, what we did, what makes humans tick, is we focused heavily on DISC, secondarily on motivators, and then we talked about what happens when you put the two together. And what does that look like? Because depending on your DISC score and your motivator score, you have a much deeper understanding about what makes people tick. So this is a great report. And this is like one of the reports that we can customize. We can make it longer. We can make it shorter. So that's why a lot of people do business with us. We are friendly. Our customer service, as you know, Jay, as a speaker, I spoke on sales, I spoke on DISC, and I spoke on customer service. So in our company, we have a very strong customer service culture. I tell my people, and this is how we built this, that I do not want you to say no to people. Always say yes. And tell them, yes, we can do that. This is how long it will take. This is how much it will cost. If they don't want to go on from there, that's their. If you need to say no to somebody, you have to come and get permission. So they have to go to somebody and get permission in our company to say no. But we excel at customer service. We excel at customization. And it's all built around these 4 basic things, especially the DISC and motivators, but also emotional intelligence. We have an assessment that we just finished. We're doing a soft release of it. It's a combination, an integrated DISC and emotional intelligence report. Absolutely incredibly powerful. We did that with one of our biggest customers, Take Flight Learning, and Merrick Rosenberg did a great job on us all together customizing this new report. Great. So anyway, that's what the book is about, Jay. It's to give everybody a more in-depth look about what makes them tick. So it's almost like an MRI of the mind.
Yes, I love it. And I can testify to the value of this because I've been a student from the late 70s and early 80s with you. One of the things is people might want to take advantage of it. So here is the link, everyone. I want to just stop for a minute. I'm going to put this into the chat area as well. Hold on a second. So that page that you saw earlier is available to you, and you can go to the assessments24x7.com to just see the website. But let's go over here. I'm going to go into the comments. I'm going to post this link here too. Boom, there we go. And those of you that are having online things, you can see this short right there. bit.ly/buy assessments 24x7 is a way to get to that page where you can immediately do that. And we've created that for you. Let's look at what else we've got here. I just want to make sure people, what if someone just wants to buy the book? I got a link for that, everyone. Let's take a look at that. Here, I'm doing some selling. Hold on just a second. I'll be done in a minute. I want to make sure that everyone has what they need. And those of you that aren't catching it fast enough, don't worry, because this piles up on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook, and you can get to it everywhere on earth. It's unbelievable when it comes to finding this information. So let me go over, and I'm going to post this as well under comments and see what we got. Boom, like that. And if you just flat want to buy the book, go to Amazon and buy that book. And I just put it in the comments, and it looks like that and popped up in your screen. So you can catch it there. It's another bit.ly shortened URL to buy the book. And Tony, I see some names on here. Let's take a look at the commenters. You got a minute for that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's see. Well, my niece Sharon says, I'm a sales lady. I sell amazing makeup. My boss is a perfectionist. She's made all the day makeup that we have. I sell candles, sugar, scrubs, wax tarts, bath bombs, and they all come with jewelry inside the name of my company, Rain Reveal. I also sell live reveal items on my show nightly, and the name of my show on Facebook is called Sharon's shucking, seizing, and rain beauty artist. And I think shucking and you just go to SharonHoffmeister.com. You got my niece. You're going to love her. And anybody that does 1,300 shows in a row gets a commercial. Who else is here? Greg Sneed. Oh, thank you so much for coming. He's a California guy. Oh, yeah. And it was supposed to be Sharon's shucking, fizzing, not seizing. Okay, good. Fizzing. It's a fun show. You will love it. And I did the disc assessment a long time ago. Great, Greg. And just, I tell you what, if you just point down, you're up in the LA area, go down to Tony's down in San Diego. He'd be your new friend. I've known Greg for a number of years. Mutual friend, Jeffrey Gittimer. We were together with Jeffrey Gittimer and his crew for a long time.
Jeffrey's here. Hey, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, all right.
Yeah. In fact, Jeffrey, Jim Cathcart and I did an assessment. It was initiated by Jeffrey Gittimer, but called the Sales IQ. So great assessment. It actually, we call it an assessment, but it's almost a test because it's several sales scenarios with 4 possible ways to deal with it. And you have to rank what you think is, well, actually just choose what you think is the best. And so we put this, the 3 of us put this assessment together and then went out to hundreds of different salespeople, asking them to take it and give us their feedback. And then we did some tweaking to it, but a great assessment. It's called the Sales IQ. And again, if they go to our sample assessments page, they can see a sample of that assessment.
Sales IQ with Jeffrey Gittimer, king of sales.
Jeffrey and I go way back, and are really good friends. I'm from the Jersey Shore. He's from that Philadelphia, South Jersey. So we have a great connection, and I see him every so often.
Yeah, he's become a good friend of mine too over the last few years, and I'm so happy he jump in and say hi. Thanks for coming by, Jeffrey. The thing, and Jeffrey, you can go to Gittimer.com to get in touch with him and all his stuff. And Jeffrey said, back to Jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's see. There's some more people here, and I want to look at the comments. Are wonderful for people. That LinkedIn user that we didn't know came in and said who he was. Okay, so this is a StreamYard thing with LinkedIn. It says the LinkedIn user is Grant Bentley from Bishop, California, now living in La Jolla.
La Jolla.
I know. Yeah. Okay. I know it's La Jolla. That's great. And interested in creating a personal AI of me that will last forever. Boy, that is a great idea. And Grant, you ought to talk to Jeffrey Gittimer because he's in the process of doing that right now. So get to know Jeffrey Gittimer. Go there, talk to Jeffrey because he's doing a personal AI that captures his persona, and you ought to get to know Jeffrey. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, Gregory. We talked to Gregory. Sharon, she got fizzing. Don't want to miss anybody. He did the disc. Okay, so this is Grant. Dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, all non-judgmental words.
Excellent.
That is right.
Yeah.
And let's see what else we've got. Marty Dickinson. Let's see. Marty Dickinson right here. I'm going to click on that. He says, when working in corporate, I always drove my boss crazy because I would take such assessments and rank so in the middle that they couldn't put me into any one quadrant. Do you have any comment about that, Tony? What do you think?
Yeah. I would have, Marty, I would have you take it again. And just see if DISC puts you in the middle. It shouldn't, but we'll see. We'll take a look at it.
And there we go. We're connecting a lot of people. There's John Godwin, who did a lot of videos and work for Gittimer in years past. Hi, John. Glad to have you here. Excellent. He's a videographer. So everybody's connecting. This is like old home week. Fantastic. Yeah. Let's see. Grant said, what does he say here? He said, should be a session at the Modern Elder Academy, Life Hacks for the second half. You bet, And what we're going to call this is staying ahead of the Grim Reaper. And how about this one? How old would you be if you didn't know your birth date? That's coming.
Well, let's move on.
There
If
we
we
go.
could.
We keep going. There are so many interested people. There's
Yeah,
Tom
absolutely.
Griggs. One last one. There's Jeffrey says, Tony, need to talk to you about AI. There you go.
I wrote a note, Jeffrey, so I'll be contacting you.
Super. And Chris, good morning. Good to
Hey,
see
Chris.
you here. Good grief. We got a great, there's no surprise, Tony, that we have a great crowd here of people that want to chime in and meet you and listen to what you're talking about. So when we're talking about this program, what is your most poignant message to the world right now?
Well, it's how to improve your communication skills to more effectively connect with other people. That's the key of everything that I do. Whether you're in sales, whether you're in management, a parent, a teacher, a coach, uh, effective communication to get on the same wavelength with other people is crucial. And that's what really the platinum rule is all about. The platinum rule is do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Treat people the way they want and need to be treated. Uh, it's interesting. Somebody sent me a note in LinkedIn and said, your platinum rule should be, you should focus on this new, what is it, DEI, because, that's what it's really about. It's about connecting with people at their level, where they're at. So.
Look, Jeffrey chimed in. We were talking about our ages and the things that we do and all that kind of stuff. He says, well, I'm in the third half. Like, Jeffrey, I'm so proud to be your friend, and you have motivated so many people to do exactly what we're all doing right here, which is continuing and not paying any attention to what our age is, but staying healthy and moving forward, continuing to help people as much as we possibly can. And that's the key, I think. Tony, what's your key? What do you think about that?
About what, helping people, or
about how we keep going? We're talking about the second half of our lives. Jeffrey said he was in the third half. It's like, look, don't let the white hair fool you. It's like, yeah, we got things to do and places to go.
Well, I'm in the fourth quarter and still going strong, probably as strong as I was in the second and third quarter. And it's because I do what I love, and I love what I do. And I have, as we said earlier, I have a very supportive wife. She's always asking me, okay, what happened today? What did you do? Who did you talk to? So it's been a very supportive relationship. But again, I'm a driven personality. I'm a high D. That's dominance. I'm a dominant person. As is Jeffrey. We grew up on the East Coast. First 12 years of my life were in New York City and Brooklyn, and then Jersey City and the Jersey Shore, the Seaside Heights, Toms River. And that's a big connection for me and Jeffrey. But yeah, I'm very driven. And I think my mother was the one who motivated me to be driven, because my mother always used to tell me, listen to this, Jay, I want you to finish this. Okay. My mother always told me to go the extra inch.
And
I'll tell you why it was the inch, because my mother said a mile is too far, too long. She said, what you need to do each and every day, go the extra inch. Just improve in every aspect of your life, every single day, just a little bit. Go the extra inch. Learn one more word each day. Give one more compliment each day. Do one more push-up or sit-up each day, and so on. Read one more page in a book than you did the previous day. Everything was go the extra inch. And my mother said, if you go enough extra inches, you've gone an extra mile. And that has stayed with me. I've always been driven to do those things, to always improve. Even now, as we say, in the fourth quarter of my life, I'm always still trying to improve. How can I do better and better and better? And that's what it's all about.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's what I believe. And that's our mission out here with everyone. Jeffrey just wrote in here, Gitomer.com, Gitomer.com. Yep. If you want to get to know Jeffrey, that's where you go. Um, let's see what else we got. Good people here. So many there. There's Georgy Kukuvikov. He is the master of theory of constraints and a good friend and a Gittimer fan. I met him at a Gittimer event. And Jeffrey just said in response to your soliloquy there, brilliant.
Thank you,
And I
Jeffrey.
agree.
Thank you.
And Tom, when Tom Griggs, would be interesting to see where your Japanese jiu-jitsu instructor placed on the DISC assessment. And I met Tom at the NSA, the National Speakers Association, a couple weeks ago, and he had a thing on. He was doing some classes in self-defense and said jiu-jitsu, and I said, Japanese or Brazilian? He said Japanese, and I was like over the moon, so happy, because that's what I learned, and I love Japanese jiu-jitsu, and we became instant friends. Let's see, Tom Pfeiffer, here, great to see you, Tom. So glad you're here too. Wow, we got a good group here. You are quite attractive, Mr. Dr. Alessandra. Let's see what we got else. So one of the things, we tried to pack two important topics into this one session, and we're going to do it. Any guy that's got 36 books going, we ought to find out what that's all about. Let's go into the next one, which was called publishing. I even got a slide for that. There you go. Publishing. You've written 36 books. And so now talk to me. There's people here that have written books, want to write books, have had all host of different experiences. What's your recommendations in that area?
All right. So one recommendation is to make sure on one of your next shows you have Jeffrey Gittimer, who just one of his books outsold all 36 of mine combined. But I think if you are in the world of coaching, consulting, training, speaking, having a book is sort of a credibility builder. It certainly helped my career. For the first 8 years of my professional life, from 1970 through 1978, I was a university professor teaching sales and marketing. When I left, which January of 79, I became a full-time professional speaker. But that's when my first book, Non-Manipulative Selling, came out in January of 79. And I used that as my business card. So I would encourage people to write a book. A lot of people feel that they have a book inside of them, that they'll write it one day. Why not write it now? Now, Jay, you and I have chatted about this. What about self-publishing versus publishing with a publisher? All my recent books are self-published because I control all the rights, I control the printing, et cetera, et cetera. All my early books were with, Simon and Schuster and, Wiley, et cetera. But, they always want to take more and more of your rights, the audio, the video, reprint, your next book, et cetera, et cetera. So I encourage people to write. And let me give you a piece of advice that one of my colleagues gave me back in 1978. So I got a contract to write Non-Manipulative Selling in 1978, and every day on my to-do list, I would have write the book, and every day I would look at that and I would say that's too much. I can't write the book today, and I would always put it off and go to the easier things, and then the time came where I either had to hand in the manuscript or give back the advance for the book. They gave me an extension, and I missed the extension again. And then they gave me one last extension. And then I came across this friend of mine who had a best-selling book at the time. This was 1978. Mm-hmm. And he said, Tony, what you need to do, there's two things you should do. Number one, get like these index cards. I don't care what size it is, or Post-its, the bigger Post-its, not the small Post-its. And put all your ideas, what you want to have in the book, and then put them on either a wall, or if it's a card, like an index card, pin it onto a cork board, and then move the cards around. Here's your topic. My topic was sales. And then here's my chapters, everything from information gathering and presentation skills, closing a sale, customers, et cetera. And then start putting under each of these, what you are calling chapters, all the little ideas you want to present, and do some research. Go into the library, because back then we did not have the internet back in 78. So I would have to go into a library, look at various books on sales, get some ideas, put in the back of the index cards, I like this book, page so-and-so, about this topic, and so on. And I'd have maybe have several references on the back of a particular card when it comes to how to ask questions and so on. So, and then I'd move things around, that doesn't go here, that doesn't go there. When you have this all done, you know exactly.
It's up on the wall.
Up on the wall could be the Post-its on the wall, or your corkboard. And now you have the outline of your book, right? The topic, the chapters, and all the sections under the chapters. Then he said, this is the last piece of advice and crucial piece of advice. He said, Tony, how long does this book have to be? I said, about 180 pages. He said, so write 2 pages a day, every single day, first thing in the morning before you do anything else, and you'll have the book written in 90 days. And he said, Tony, if you are on a roll and you write, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 pages in a day, that does not relieve you from doing your 2 pages the next day, the next day, the next day. And by following that advice, I finished the book in well less than 90 days. And he also told me one other thing that I thought was crucial. And this is for not just writing a book, but even writing articles or writing blogs. And that is, if you don't write the whole thing in one day, well, especially with the book, you're not going to do that in one day.
Yeah.
It's always finish the day in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a paragraph, because it's so much easier to come back and say, oh, I know what I want. And it gets you right into writing to finish that sentence or that paragraph, as opposed to just looking at the blank page saying, what do I do next? So those 3 ideas, the index cards for the outline, writing 2 pages a day, first thing in the morning, every single day, and then making sure each day you finish in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a paragraph, so it's easy to come back in the next day and create that flow. Now, I will tell you, those are the things that helped me do this. Oh, there was one more thing. He didn't tell me this, and that is most of my books, if you look at almost any one of my books, you will see there is at least one co-author. And, having a co-author, I know Jeffrey, I don't think, has co-authors, but for me, it helped, bouncing ideas off of people, and it made things go a lot faster, and it made the content, the end content of the book better. I wrote most of my books and audio programs, etc. I shouldn't say most, but the person I dealt with the most would be Jim Cathcart, but also, people like Phil Hunsaker, where I wrote 2 management-related books. There's Jim. I've not written a book with you, Jeffrey, but again, Jeffrey writes all his books on his own and does an incredible job. That's it.
There it is.
That's the biggie. That's the biggie.
Jeffrey Gittimers.
Yep. So those are the things about publishing, but I think it's a great idea to at least have one book, just one. And then you can kind of go from there.
Well, people all of a sudden have just now gotten a book writers seminar for no extra charge. This is awesome. And I would challenge everyone to come back. There's been so much gold in this show today that you need to watch it over and over and make some notes. I'm going to go back here and see who we've talked to. Let's see, we talked to Jeffrey made a comment here. He said, Non-Manipulative Selling. Yep, that was the book. Great book. Jeffrey's comment is great book. And then, so the LinkedIn user that we talked about earlier said, and don't use Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting person that's put a bunch of stuff in here. His software has been helpful. Great tips on process. Scrivener software has been very helpful in planning and drafting media projects. Gene Kirkconnell Connell. It has an index card view that's helped to do in digital form what you just described in analog with
Beautiful,
paper card
beautiful,
on a
Gene.
cork board. Here's the product page. There's all the information. Wow, that sounds really great, Kirk. And I've left this up here long enough so people can get a hold of it and use it. But thank you very much. That's www.literatureandlatte.com, Scrivener /overview. That'll get them started. Very interesting. Thank you, Gene, for that information. I'm gonna go through here, see if I want to make sure I haven't missed anybody that came by, because we're in wrap up right now, Tony, and
Okay.
we've covered a lot of ground. And what I'd like to know is, what are your final thoughts for our show today?
Well, I have certain sayings that kind of keep me going. And you've listed a lot of things early on that I was successful in. What it doesn't show is how many things I've failed in. And I failed in many more things than I have succeeded in. But in baseball, you can be in the Hall of Fame just batting 1 out of 3, getting a hit 1 out of 3 at bats. So maybe for every 2 failures, I had a success. But what helps me is I have this mantra, this too shall pass, and it always does. This too shall pass. I also tend to be, if you look at, some people have asked me, what do you want to be known for? And I really thought about it. And the one thing is probably my generosity. I tend to be a very generous person, not just in terms of money, but in time. And please don't call me for a loan. Jeffrey, you can, but anybody else, I have enough with my 4 kids and 3 grandkids about money. But generous with time and money. And so the whole concept, I tend to be a very lucky person. People think I have unusual amount of luck, and I think it's karma. What goes around comes around. I think that really, and also the platinum rule: do unto others as they would have you do unto them. I really am very sensitive to the differences in people, and with increasing diversity in the world today, practicing the platinum rule is absolutely crucial. Absolutely crucial.
That is so important, and it's meant so much to me to understand that. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show today. This is pure gold. And then I get all the guests. Thank you to the guests. Tony, if I'm going to ask you if you can go back into the green room, and there's fruit, there's other things on your contract. There were some special things that you wanted. You've got everything you need. Don't eat it all, because I'm going to come back there and join you as soon as we wrap this up. So thank you, Dr. Tony Alessandra, for joining us, and we'll talk to you later. And everybody, that was the Buyers and Sellers Show. How fantastic. And let's see if there's a last minute commenters. I want to make sure we get everyone. And Jeffrey said, hard work makes luck. There we go. I agree. That's good stuff. And then Gene Kirk Connell says, thanks for today's session. Appreciate you guys sharing and adding value to my day. And thank you for coming, Gene. This was awesome. Everyone, you've been on the Buyers and Sellers Show. We do this every Friday morning at 10:35 a.m. And if you want to find me and what I'm doing, then we do it. You're welcome, Tom. Glad you came by. My contact information is right here. Go to j@thejayskinner.com. You can email me. You can go to thejayskinner.com, find my website about all the different things that I do. There's my telephone number. Just call me on the phone. We'll talk. It's that easy. And I want to thank everyone for coming. See you next week. Let's see how this goes. Here we go. Woo! Girl from Ipanema. Oh, yeah. See you next week. Thanks for coming. Bye now.